standby. So, Marius, when you're ready, recording is on. Okay, welcome everybody to this session. The recording has started. The meeting's being recorded and no name tags will be visible on the recording. If you agree to this being recorded, please could you all now type a yes in the text chat. Otherwise, you will have to leave or make yourself invisible. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the film crew for their work. Marius, I don't think, has been to bed or slept or eaten or done anything. He's been taking a lot of films, and thank you so much to you, Marius, for that. If for any reason any of you crash and want to carry this on, we'll put the link to other people so they can watch it. On the Avalon Ning site, you'll see the link to the languages room we're in, which is http and then :2/ lancelot.adobeconnect.com/sl, which somebody might write into chat for me. And we'd like to say that this is a time when we'd love to get networking going. So quite a few of you have already been at these sessions, but some of you haven't, including perhaps some of the people who've been presenting. So it may be that you'd like to now, in a one-liner in the text chat, could you say what your professional background is and perhaps what your area of research is. That will make it so that afterwards we can gather that information and keep people in touch. Now say your name, what your job is, and area of research, that sort of thing. That would be great. Also, if you have a Twitter name, a tweet handle or whatever, if you could write that in as well, that would be great. And the that we're using for this is #slang12 for any tweets which you use. We're a very friendly bunch here as teachers, and we like to encourage people to make friends with other people who are around. Personally, I love to be making friends. If you'd like to right-click on me and add me as a friend, I'd be very happy for that. And you could for everybody else. And I am not offended if people later on discover they don't like me and want to unfriend me. That's fine, and I'm sure that other people feel the same. So please do make friends with each other. That would be great. Another thing which sometimes people feel a bit awkward about is I'm going to walk over here. If you could look to see where I'm walking to, here's a beautiful, beautiful tip jar, which I'm just going to jump a little bit here just because I like jumping and showing I can jump in Second Life. And this is a place where if you feel moved to, it would be great if you just put a few lindens in there of appreciation, because people have put their own hands in their own pockets to get a bit of extra money so that we could have this lovely venue here, which is for too much from lag, we hope. So it'd be great if people could tip the venue, even though the conference is absolutely free. I'm now going to introduce the people who are here. And we've got, first of all, over here, we've got Dr. Gary Mottram, who's a senior lecturer in education at the University of Manchester. He has an MEd in teaching English overseas and an ed in e-learning. He set up and still runs the innovative Masters in Educational Technology in TESOL, which is taught both on-site in Manchester and by e-learning. He's presented at conferences and published regularly in the fields of technology, in language learning and in language learning and technology, in supported distance teacher education, and lots of other things as well. Here to his left, we have Klaus Hammermüller, who has 7 years of working experience in new media projects, including web streaming media, and 3D World Technologies with IBM Corporation, and an additional as a university lecturer, IT instructor, and coach. He initiated the Talk Academy project in 2005. And since then, he developed organizational, pedagogical, and technical solutions applying new media in education. And then in the middle here, we have Louisa Panichi, who will introduce herself in a moment. And then here we have David Richardson, who also will introduce himself a little bit more. He's from Sweden. Do you want to say who you are now?
Yes, I'll say I'm an English teacher at Linnaeus University in southeast Sweden, and I've been running Second Life now for about 6 years. So I'm beginning to find out how to do it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And Louise,
that's enough.
Lovely. I'm going to introduce the two further ones, and then I'll ask Louisa to introduce herself. So here we've got Tom Conrad from Utrecht. He's worked as teacher educator and senior ICTE consultant at Swiss School Utrecht University of Applied Sciences. And since 2011, as the owner of TelConsult, his activities involve the acquisition, coordination and evaluation of national and EU projects in the fields of modern languages, teacher education and e-learning. His special interests include methodology development for interactive whiteboards, mobile applications and 3D VLEs for language learning. And then here we have von Handrick, who's really Gerhilde Meissy-Eckhardt, and she's a freelancer in the field of educational technology and a co-founder of Talk Academy, which is a not-for-profit organisation engaging in using and creating virtual environments for learning purposes. Okay, and can we ask now, please, Louisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, can everybody hear me? Is that okay?
Yes, great.
Yes. Hello, I'm Louisa Panicki. I'm an EFL lecturer at the University of Pisa, where I've been based for the last 20 years or so. I'm also finishing a PhD by research in linguistics and e-learning in the Department of Modern Languages at the University of Hull. So I've actually got two affiliations, Pisa University and Hull University. Project, which was a project that fed into the Euroversity project, which I am coordinating through Hull and which we will be talking about this evening. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I've done that quite quickly. If I've missed anything out that people would very much like us to know, please, during this session, could you tell us? Now, it's my pleasure to pass over to David to moderate the next session.
Everyone, well, welcome to the session. And around me, as I have got the members of the Euroversity project, and our aim in this symposium is to basically spread information about what the Euroversity project is, what the aims of it are, and roughly how is it going to work. Yes, other members, Louisa, I'll explain how many there are in a minute. Now, Euroversity is a fairly newly started EU project. I say fairly recent because it started in December 2011. There are 17 partners altogether. This is another organisations spread out across Europe from the very far north, Umeå, in the north of Sweden, down to Coimbra in Portugal, with an associate partner in Israel. So we're quite a heterogeneous group. The way that we hope to run this next 45 minutes or so is that I'm going to first of all hand over to Gary Mottram to talk about to first of all give some more information about the project, and then talk about the first work package, which is the which has almost finished now. Then will be the plan. Then was to hand over to Claudio, who was going to talk. Yes, sure, Louisa. Who was going to talk about the second working package, and after that, the idea was just to throw the floor open and see what you think, and see how we can see your questions. Apart from that, my personal aim is to keep my mouth shut through the talking, so I hope that works. So just now that Louisa has given me that heads up, I'll be handing over to Louisa first, then to Gary, then to Klaus, and then it'll be a bit of a free-for-all. Okay, Louisa, why don't you start us off then by giving some more detailed information about Euroversity?
What I would just like to do is to welcome everybody and say how lovely it is to see so many people here, and in particular to see my colleagues. I haven't seen you all for a while, so it's lovely to be together with you this evening. Thank you, David, for your moderating this evening, and thank you to Heike for inviting us and for organising a wonderful conference as always. Happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing Gary talk about our project. Over to you, Gary.
Okay, thanks, Louisa. Well, it's a bit bizarre to be using a set of slides that I know you set up probably in the first place, and to talk about it, but there you go, that's my lot in life. I mean, you can see from the top, and Louise has already mentioned this, that the project's actually coordinated through the University of Hull. So for people, maybe people are not familiar with European projects, but normally there's a central, one of the central organisers of the project is quite often based in a university, and before that, the Avalon project that was one of the precursors to the Euroversity network was coordinated at Manchester, for example. So, I mean, as it says on the slide there, and as David has already indicated, I mean, this is a project that's a continuation of other projects. And it started off as a discussion amongst the community of people on the Avalon project. Some of you may have been familiar with. You can still see some of us are wearing the T-shirts, which was probably about all we got out of the project in terms of, contribution from the European Union. But we did a lot of hard work, and we produced an awful lot of material, which is sitting linked to the Ning. So if people want to find out more about Avalon, it's perfectly possible to do that, and there are plenty of a variety of materials, lesson plans, videos, etc., that are available for people to look at. But as we worked through the Avalon project, we realised that there were plenty of other people doing similar things. I like the way I'm admiring nails. It's not something I do in real life, but it's fun to see me doing that. I feel more like a cat than a human being. Anyway, we realised that there were lots of other projects, and towards the end of the project, what we did was we actually ran a fairly big pre-conference event at the Online Educa in Berlin, where we brought together a number of people who are also involved in education in Second Life to do a joint event, and these included colleagues from Avatar, one of the acronyms that's up there, and other people as well. We'd also met people from NIFLA. Ton is a representative from the NIFLA project, for example, and we realised that we were doing some things together, but we're doing different things as well. And the interesting thing about the Avatar project is that it's not about language teaching. So one of the key features of this Euroversity network is that it's not exclusively about language teaching, although there are quite a lot of language teachers in the project, as you can see by the fact that there are quite a few people represented here. I won't go into all the detail about the European materials there, but you can see, as was already mentioned, it started about nearly a year ago now. I think there are 19 partners, not 17, and they come from a variety of different countries around Europe. And so that is the basic background. So one of the things that so often happens with European projects is, although people work very hard for a long period of time, bring together lots of materials, often those materials are not necessarily exploited as well as they could be, and I think we all recognise that. But we wanted to continue building on the work that we've done and spread it out and talk to other people and get some idea of what was happening, so we can actually begin to build a bigger picture of the activity that occurs in different spaces, in different virtual spaces. And as you see, it's about issues to do with good practice in virtual worlds, in different contexts, both local and national, and try and building on the work that has been done in a variety of different spaces, but also trying to, as it says there, transfer knowledge across to other people as well, with a view to trying to broaden the reach of all these kinds of projects, so that we end up actually doing something meaningful with all the work and effort we put in. So these are the outcomes that were put into the project, actually trying to increase outreach, to get out to other people, to actually look at policy drivers to sort of try and take things forward. So the European union actually sits up and pays attention to spaces like this and tries to embed it within a broader network of European education. Also looking at trying to transfer knowledge from one type of activity to another. So, for example, quite a few of the projects that are part of the community are within the university sector, although there are one or two that are in the school sector as well, but also transferring out into more general adult education as well. We have partners who work with the Chambers of Commerce in France, for example, who are looking at ways of bringing the kinds of activities that we engage in Second Life into their teaching as well. And of course, going to events like this and trying to disseminate and generally move the project on. Sorry, I'm not concentrating on moving my slides along. So hold on, let me just try and see if I can do that. So we want, if possible, to try and build the group, the community, try and extend the community, make it bigger, form alliances, trying to look at ways of making virtual worlds part of the kind of ongoing mass education process that we're increasingly seeing in the world. And also looking at ways of providing certification. Actually getting ways, one of the most difficult things to do is actually deal with accreditation across different organizations, actually getting one university or one system, one European education system to recognize the qualifications and the certification that are done in another domain is actually very difficult. I mean, I know that from my own experiences of running my own course, where people do a regular course at a university in Manchester and in the UK, and then they go back to their home country, and their home country says, no, we don't recognise that qualification. I mean, this is, these are countries in Europe; these are not countries elsewhere in the world. So there are lots of issues there that sit in the background that we need to deal with. These are general issues around what virtual worlds offer, and I won't dwell on this because, of course, you know about this kind of thing already because you're already in virtual worlds. These slides are partly set up to deliver ideas to other people, but they're all of the things that we've got here that enable education to work in an effective way. We know this. We're trying to get this message out to other people at the same time. We also think that these kinds of spaces potentially can reduce the costs of education, and by not necessarily moving people around physically within Europe and visiting other countries under a scheme like Erasmus, but actually moving people around within the virtual world. I mean, David, if you want to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing in the course that you set up, and that's a good example of the kind of collaboration that's potentially possible in these kinds of spaces. So it also increases international collaboration, hopefully leading into research. And then there's the positive side of reducing barriers to education, assuming that people have the technical hardware, but if you've got people with particular specific disabilities that make it difficult for them to access education in other ways, we're well aware that technology allows people with disabilities to actually engage in educational processes in ways that are not necessarily always possible in the physical world. And also even further than that, potentially to begin to sort of transform our understanding of the way that educational processes occur. We're all very conscious that we live in a digital age, and the discussion and work that goes along with thinking about processes of education in a way that different kinds of educational processes actually potentially get people to think in and act in different ways, actually looking at that in terms of virtual worlds as well. There are still lots of challenges, and again, this is not something that that people like yourselves are not aware of, but a lot of people out there find it very difficult to accept it. I mean, certainly in my own institution, There was quite a buzz around a Second Life when it first occurred, but now you don't hear so many people talking about it. Our business school still does a certain amount of work in it, but you know, actually getting people to rethink and re-engage with these kinds of tools is also an important issue, really, to address. There are no denying that there are technical barriers and institutional barriers there. For example, I run sessions on Second Life with my on-site students, and we don't do it within the university. We do it outside because, of course, university computers are set up in ways that don't allow those kinds of things to happen. There are all the kind of misconceptions about virtual worlds and all of the negative press that they get. And increasing, demands on quality and engagement in terms of making sure that the virtual worlds are fit for purpose in what we want to be able to engage with. So I'm going to stop there. There is a website that you can visit, and we have obviously lots of other social media. We have a Facebook group, and there is an email address that you can use if you want to get specific further information about the project or want to get involved in it, because of course this is about getting people like yourselves to engage with the project and come to us and offer your expertise and your ideas into the pot. We don't want to be sort of seen to be somehow exclusive. We want to be all-encompassing, and that's what the project's about. So as it says there at the top, it's time to get involved. So I will pass on to, I won't talk about work package 1 just at the moment, or should I? Should I have a pause and talk about that?
I wonder, Gary, actually, if the best policy right now might be to get one of us now to talk about what's so far for about 5 minutes, and then actually open the floor to everybody and see what the audience here would like to know, because I should think that between us sitting on the chairs we'll be able to answer more or less any question that comes up. How does that sound?
Sounds fine. Would somebody else like to talk about what's been happening so far then, rather than me? So it's not just
I think
talking
that's
all
a
the
great
time.
idea, yes.
And talk about what's been happening.
Yes, Louisa, why don't you
Why not to talk about it in terms of European management? So I won't talk work package 1 and work package 2. But,
no, all right.
Okay. But as we've been doing, basically the project started in December of last year. It's a 3-year network, so we're sort of at the beginning, what we call the developmental phase of the project. What we're basically doing is putting in place strategies for dissemination and sharing of resources, and we're going through a process of pooling existing resources from within the consortium. And we're also developing courses to transfer the knowledge and the materials we have to new contexts. So they're basically the 2 main activities the project is busy with at the moment. So dissemination, coordination of information, and sharing of materials, and finding efficient ways to transfer our knowledge base to communities that are interested. I think that sort of sums it up. I don't know if somebody else might want to add a few
Well,
things.
I was thinking, wondering if Ton would like to tell us what have your impressions been so far, Ton? Hello there, Ton. Would you like to make a contribution here?
I indicated in the chat, I think the audience would like to know a bit more about how we go about sharing the experiences. And as far as I understood, Klaus has prepared something there. Is that is it correct, Claudio?
Well, I had some represented work package 2 here. I don't know if the slides are here, but anyway, there are basically 2 different practical deliverables or things we want to produce. The one is a framework of practice by collecting all the things we already have done, and how to distribute, disseminate, and analyze that in a more framework way. So like there are resources and knowledge to be shared and to be built on. That's the first. And the second is everything that means that we want to do more courses on university level, ideally by having more than one university collaborate in one course. So we have the spillover of knowledge from one university who is doing something else. There are some universities already doing this. The one is, of course, the Swedish ones with David, and the other one is University of Donovan. So they offer that students from other countries and the other universities can join in, and we would be very pleased if we would support, invite others to join into these courses, to learn by doing, to build up their own skills and do things together, because like this virtual environment is best, as you know, bringing people together who are not in the same place, like right now. And this we want to see more in practice, the two things from work package 2.
Thanks, Klaus. Yeah. That's fine. And Louisa, I wonder if you'd like to address the question that Rachel asked, because
yes,
those are some really good questions.
Yes,
I thought.
There were two questions there. I was looking at the website, and one was from Rachel and one was from someone else. Rachel, can you just repeat your question again for me?
Otherwise, I can. Oh yeah, she just said sure.
Something about the partner contracts.
Otherwise, I could.
Parameters do you address with contracts? What agreements? What do you mean? This is a technical question about project management and not necessarily about content. I'm not sure what you mean, Rachel. Oh, not. I hope not. Not yet. This is an EU network. It's quite large in the sense it has 19 partners. Consortiums are often smaller than that. It's just standard. We're using standard contracts. There's nothing special in the contracts. They're just standard European contracts. Does that answer your question?
And I think it's worth saying, well, this point that Klaus brought up about how we get people from other European countries to participate in the courses, and this is a point that Gary made up as well. Yeah, this is actually a crucial point where we're trying to, I think, bring the real world into the world of courses offered in virtual realities. And we'd have these problems no matter what educational technology we were using, wouldn't we? Really. But I don't want to spend my time talking about too much.
Yeah, so there's another question there from somebody about, can we compare to another organisation called Use Something, which provides teaching in all sorts of courses? I just want to say that that's not the project aim. The project is looking at bringing together people who want to share resources and providing a framework to transfer knowledge to new contexts. There's only a limited number of courses we can do. The idea is that our examples and our pilot courses will then be used by others as a model, but we're not here to provide education to the world across the board. So if somebody wants to pick up their idea and use our materials and follow our methods or whatever they're most want to. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah,
and I think, can I just say a few things about that?
Carry on, Gary, here.
There are lots of initiatives at the moment, and we're all very familiar with them. And the whole MOOC movement that is ongoing, and clearly, of course, private sector organisations will want to increasingly move into what was originally the public sector domain. We've seen this in my own field of English for academic purposes in the UK, where we have two key organisations, one called Into and one called Kaplan. Kaplan's an American organisation, Into is actually a British organisation, who have basically run English for academic purposes work within many universities in the UK now. So even it's inevitable that that's going to happen, and certainly we have many more conservative governments like our own in the UK, which is looking to increase the nature of private universities, and of course in the States there have been private universities for many years, and of course it's all about issues to do with standards and quality, and people talk about the issues of, if you look at the best universities, they tend to be the private universities. So you've got this massive tension, or this massive climb between massively open, open courses run by either ordinary organizations or individual people or foundations, and at the other end of the spectrum you have the private sector also trying to get involved in that, and we sit somewhere along that process in the sense of within a European framework, trying to look at the ways that different organizations can work together in conjunction, breaking down some of the barriers potentially that do still exist within Europe. Very much this is a European project, but of course it's a very big, potentially lots of links elsewhere. So there are lots of tensions and lots of issues, but at the end of the day it's about the educational processes, and what, as Louise is saying, what we're trying to do is pull out of projects that have already happened, trying to take the ideas that have been put together by people in individual projects, and looking at ways that we might pull useful knowledge out of that and then spread that out. So it's a not-for-profit project in the sense that everything is then disseminated out to other people, and it's up to other people to then pick up that baton and run with it in whatever way they want. So I don't see that we're in competition. I don't think that anyone, I don't think MOOCs will win, and they certainly won't win if they're not funded by organizations like Stanford. But there are lots of issues in education at the moment, particularly in higher education, with the massive increase in fee structures in the UK, soon to arrive in a European university near the rest of us, although I'm sure people don't think that's going to happen, but it will do pretty soon. These are difficult times for education right across the board. So I think there are lots and lots of issues there that we can even that we can partially address, and we can hopefully have a conversation about.
Yeah, sure. Yvonne, what's your take on all this? What's been your impression of how Euroversity's developed so far? That is, Yvonne, if you've got sound with us at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I just dropped out, so I missed. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Don't know about anybody else, but
I missed the last 10 minutes about. Also, I just dropped in, hearing pretty much the question that you asked me what I think. But of course, maybe this doesn't fit to what was talked before. But our primarily, what we wanted Euroversity to be is a place where real students from different countries take these courses together. And this is, of course, our background, which education institution as well as you are. So we know that this mixing people together has many other different effects on them. So this is what we would really like to achieve. And of course, to see how difficult it is doesn't make things easier, but I think it's the way we still head.
I just pick up on what Yvonne was saying?
Yes, Karen, Louise.
One of the aims of the project is also to provide some sort of map all the barriers we face in trying to put courses together, because there are lots of barriers, and they are, you know, institutional. They're to do with teacher beliefs, student beliefs, a whole range of factors come in there. And so one of the aims of the network is to sort of track these obstacles along the way, so people sort of are aware, if they're interested in starting something similar, are aware of what the problems might be and sort of creative ways of perhaps solving them. Often enough, it's not, it's a people problem rather than technical, physical problem. So it's an organizational problem, and it's a management problem often, rather than, you know, let's go in and do it. So hopefully the network will be able to map some of those challenges.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one of the things that struck me since the beginning of the Euroversity project is that we've got a lot of information individually about things like how long does it take to put a course together in a virtual world, and what's the best way of inducting new students and new teachers into it. But we haven't really coordinated this information, looked at it systematically, compared one person's experience with another. And I think that's probably the process that we're going through now. I think that's certainly how I would describe it anyway.
Can I
Yes,
say
go on,
something
Tom.
here? Because my perspective is rather on the educational implications rather than the managerial ones. I know that, of course, I mean, in the bid for the grant, we also put in this dimension of Euroversity, sorry, Euro-wide sort of offerings. But as far as I'm concerned, we are just at the beginning to really find out whether we have an added value, where how to organize courses and education offerings in this type of environments, rather than, you know, moving on to, say, established courses and all the managerial implications that go with them.
Yes, I think that's a very good point, that Ton. Yeah, yeah. Klaus, what's been your impression so far? I seem to remember a long conversation with you in Vienna at our first meeting, but how has it been since then?
Oh, you know, my impression is that a lot of things can learn from practical application of something, you know. So there's, especially in social science, if you want to frame it in this way, you need to have the reality impact. And this is exactly what we want to do with the Euroversity network as well. You see, I think the didactics, yeah, how to do it well, is pretty clear for those involved in teaching here. So we all know that it is working perfectly well. We all know there are technical issues and stuff, and there is something, yeah, but there's some things we don't know yet, as far as I see, which is, for example, how do you need to package it that it can be delivered in a university environment officially. So I know, David, from you that a lot of a success factor today is maybe not to make too much fuss about what we're doing, and don't promote it too heavily, so that we don't get drowned by it. So so you see how what do we need to do to scale it up and to make it just another tool in a distance learning toolbox, or in a not only distance learning but a formal education toolbox. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I think there's a very good point. Yes. Are there any questions? Any more questions from the floor? I think that's a very good point, Louisa. We have about 5 minutes left. So, is there anything that those of you who are here would like to know from us at the moment? And about France, I can probably sum that up very quickly so far, Rachel. In that, what the first work package was a question of drawing up an inventory of that which we have collectively done thus far. The second one is trying to draw lessons from these existing examples to see if we can draw up some guidelines about what any subject specialist, no matter whether they're a language or not, what they need to know, what they need to do in order to get a successful course going in a virtual environment. So that's basically the two. And Marius, what part of France is in this project? Well, we actually have two French partners, one in Strasbourg, and we also have the Chambers of Commerce of the Jura region, which I think is that in southeast France, I think. So and they're quite different. Yes, and I think that's a very good point as well, Tom. That we're raising people's awareness of virtual environments. In my university, for example, we need a tremendous amount of dissemination in order to just let even my university know that we're already working here. Yes, near German speaking. I don't think that's. I think it was just by chance, Marius, that we picked two French organizations, or there are two French organizations which are near German-speaking regions. I don't think it was a plan. I think it's worth saying that our Portuguese partner, which is Coimbra, are also interested in 2D environments as well as 3D environments, and this is something that could be it could be quite significant later on. So we're not absolutely tied to Second Life. Yeah, maybe Randall, maybe 2D old school. Yeah, it could be. But you see, one of the connections that Portugal has is with Africa, and it may be that 2D is what will work there. We don't know at the moment. We're just at the moment gathering information. Yeah. Quite. Because yesterday morning, when I presented my bits in the next year, I was talking about normalizing the use of Second Life. In other words, making it just as an ordinary tool that you would use in any university course. Are there any other questions that people would like to ask us whilst we're here? I feel I don't quite our moderators got to, but I feel there's Kareli. Yeah, I feel that probably we'd better start winding up now because I think in 3 minutes we've got another.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yole has just asked to make a few concluding remarks. So
yes.
Yes.
Like sorry, I didn't see that.
Claudio would like to say something as well. So perhaps first of all, Yole and then Claudio, and then we'll just sum things up.
Claudio, do you want to just Claudio? Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to say like the next session I'm leading, so we can take another few minutes to answer all the questions which might come up. And the second thing is to outline an invitation for everybody who is interested in Euroversity to join in, especially in respect of doing courses or using materials or contributing something, especially if we can get some international cooperation on a practical level out of it. That would be very, very good.
Thank you very much. And Louisa, would you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to thank everybody for being here. And I think that I have to, as project coordinator, I just have to qualify something that was said at the beginning. David, you said Israel is an associate partner. Israel is not an associate partner; they're a full partner with us in the project, and we're very excited to have for sort of the first time to be able to have a non-European partner in the consortium. And that's an interesting development for European projects if anybody's sort of interested in that. So that's what I say, and thank you. I was just wondering if I could put in a personal email address, perhaps. Probably you shouldn't be doing this, but I will. If people want to sort of contact me directly and find out more about the project, they're welcome to do so.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. As you said, we've now got 1 minute before the next session. We've got 3 concurrent sessions going on. One of them is going to be here, and Yvonne is going to be staying with us for that one. There's another one which is called where there's a virtual reality and a tour, and then there's something going on in the games park. So thank you very much to everybody. I'd like everybody to give a nice round of applause, whether you have gestures or you can actually open up your mics and just do real live clapping like I'm doing now, whatever you want. But thank you very, very much for coming, everybody. And thank you for doing as you were told.
Hooray. Thank you very much.
I'm very proud.
Thank you. Thank you, Olaf.
Well done.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Heike,
Nice being
for
here.
all the trouble every year again.
Maybe just a word about next session. As you might know, Klaus and I were working together for the Academy, and we are therefore both involved in the Nextel project. Klaus volunteered to talk about the Nextel project, which I gladly accepted. So he will lead the next session, and I'll stay there, add one or the other word.
Yes. So maybe
And I'm going to be moderating that session.
Before you leave to some other place, in case you're working together with schools, I want to also invite you. Maybe you want to work together with us in the Nextel project. So be it primary schools or secondary schools. So Nextel is about using virtual worlds and other media in schools with pupils, and we did a lot of work in the last year there, and it was pretty successful, and it's becoming more promising. So maybe you want to stay and have a look at what we have achieved so far there.
Hey, thank you very much. And I noticed that people have written things in the local chat. So if take a copy perhaps of the local chat if people want to have contacts. You should be passing Heike a list of contacts from the local chat as well. Okay, so I think we'll just give ourselves a few minutes now, turn around as other people might join us for the next session, or people might have to take their leave. I'm just going to turn my mic off for the moment.